You're watching the Marketing Bound podcast on YouTube. I'm your host, Laura L. Bernhard, and every week I interview a marketing expert that shares actionable tips to help grow your service-based business. Be sure to subscribe and comment your favorite piece of advice from this episode. Travis, thank you so much for being on the Marketing Bound podcast. How are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm feeling the good vibes today.
That's amazing. Oh, I feel great. Thanks for asking. I'm super excited to get into this. So a little bit of backstory for everybody who's listening. Travis and I were already connected on LinkedIn. And then his team reached out to me to be on the podcast. And I was like, wait a minute, I know this guy. And then I looked into it more. And let me tell you, I think a lot of you are going to recognize his work. And we're going to talk about that. So let's talk about the kickoff of your marketing career, well, your entrepreneurial career with the Kobe Bryant and Lionel Messi commercials for Turkish Airlines. Tell us about what that is and how it kicked off Chamber Media.
Cool. So I did this viral video as I was finishing college, and it was me and my wife joking about going 80 miles an hour. If you're going 80 miles an hour, how long will it take you to go 80 miles? And she did this dumb blonde impression thing for 4 minutes, trying to calculate tire speed, tire pressure, wind speed. And she put it on YouTube to show her brother-in-law, who didn't have a smartphone at the time. This is back in 2011. And then 3 months later, some of our friends at college found it and shared it. And it went to mega viral, 10 million views in a few weeks. We were on Good Morning America. We flew out to New York. They asked me to do a public apology for it. Even though it was kind of this thing that we do all the time. And then we were on Tosh.0 and True TV, and Kraft Mac and Cheese reached out, and it just happened to be at the ad agency I had been wanting to work at since I started school. And that turned into a job. And then I worked there, and then I was supposed to be kind of the in-house earned media viral video expert, young millennial guy, whatever. Turkish Airlines walks in, and they say, we want them to have the most viral ad of all time. How much is it going to cost? We've got Kobe Bryant and Lionel Messi. And so the chief digital officer took me aside and said, go for it, man. Here's $3.5 million. Make it happen. And we did. It worked. We got 650 influencers, and we did a really great ad spend. We did video SEO, and we did some viral seeding all over the web. And it was the most viral ad of ever. I don't think it's ever been beaten, to my knowledge. YouTube came out and said it's the most viral of all time. And so I ended up 20th Century Fox a year later, and that just wasn't fitting out great. So started Chamber Media, and we've been at it for 7 years now. Now we got 110 employees. We're doing some odd dozen million a year. And we're it all comes from a couple viral videos, pretty much.
Oh my God. Okay. That's a great story, number one. But we have to break it down. There's so much to get into. First of all, that YouTube video of your wife, is it still online?
Yeah. It's called The Real Meaning of MPH.
Okay.
You will judge me when you watch it. You'll say, this guy is kind of a jerk, and she's really dumb.
Okay, I have to find that and put that in the show notes for everybody listening. So that's the first thing I wanted to know. The second thing is, people are listening to this story and they're like, well, you have Kobe, you have Messi, and then you have $3.5 million to make it happen. Obviously, when you have that much money and you throw it at something, it's going to work. But I'm sure that you have a rebuttal to that. And there has to be something else that makes it work. That can't be the formula as you get spokespeople plus money equals success. What is the formula?
So that formula doesn't work anymore. The viral video thing does not work. At the time, though, there were no videos online of Kobe or Messi in Nike ads, and beverage ads, whatever ads they were in, none of them had over 4 or 5 million views. We had just launched, another team had just launched an ad for Windows Phone at the same time, which was the same production budget, $1 million production budget, just to make the commercial. And they spent $3 million getting 10 million views. So, views are expensive. And so getting 140 is really hard. And it was really hard. And so we did a lot of these viral strategies worked really well. But Kobe and Messi definitely helped a lot.
You think if you removed them, it would have still worked?
No, it wouldn't have been that big. No way.
Okay.
Yeah. It wouldn't have been the most viral ad of all time without them. I don't think so. Like, I think we could have had some people that are less famous and still done really well, but I don't think we would have gotten the top spot. There's no way.
Well,
I just think no one else had the 2 biggest sports stars in the world with a viral campaign at the time that virality was happening. So
it was kind of like perfect timing too. Like, that's the missing piece out of that equation, is like you really needed that timing. But you didn't mention your company, Chamber Media, and I want to get into that. So how old were you when you started that company?
25.
Pretty
25.
young. Pretty young.
Super young.
You start this company and you're alone? Do you have partners? I think you had partners.
I started with 2 partners, and they were still full-time at their jobs. And I went full-time, and I decided we'll give this 3 months. And if we can't pay our bills in 3 months, I got severance from Fox. And so I had like 3 months income, 3 months worth of income. And so it was at the end of the 3 months we got our first deal.
What was your first deal?
It was a company called Fisber, like a real estate for sale by owner real estate company. And it was for SEO, ad buying, and some videos. It was like $60,000 deal. And that deal was over I think it was a 3-month project. And that was enough to say, all right, let's keep going. And then I think the next month we got a couple more clients. We got like some footwear, insole footwear company. And it just kind of started. And it was mostly from like networking. So I would just go to events and just hunt people down, and I'd post on LinkedIn all the time, and I'd ask people I knew for referrals. And the networking was the key. I mean, the networking was the only reason that the Kobe versus Messi thing happened. It'd be impossible to try and do all of that myself. It'd be impossible. But I'd done so much research and getting to know so many people and learning from what everyone was doing and then putting it all together that I think people, if they're starting a company, networking is, if it's a service company, it's so important to, if you're in B2B or services, that's how you got to start. And I get a lot of people that hit me up and say, hey man, how do I get an agency going? And I say, look, you've just got to hunt people down. I used to go to VidCon and just cost every penny I had to buy a ticket to VidCon. And I would just stalk people. I would sneak into the VIP lounges. I would find ways in. I told them that I was a marketing director at Hulu. And I was like, I'm on the list. And they're like, well, what's your name? I'm like, do you not see the marketing director from Hulu on there? And they're like, oh, yeah. And it was some random guy's name. I'm like, yeah, dude, that's me. And I just walk in there. And then I started getting to know a lot of influencers, and I was able to sell a lot of influencer deals too.
Okay.
So that was a big thing too, is like, I would, hey.
So you would pivot?
Yeah. It was like, I tried to just be the guy who could like bring everything together kind of. So like I did some deals with Logan Paul. I did some deals with other, influencers. And then, but then I had to like pivot though, because the influencer game started to get kind of hard because, I just realized that wasn't like a scalable thing
Yeah, it's a
to
lot of
do.
work.
Yeah, and I just realized I was just a guy that just like knew some people. There wasn't like a ton of value per se to be able to get big contracts that last a long time.
Yeah. And that's what you're doing now, right? That's how you're scaling.
Yeah.
It's really
So
getting those long-term contracts with big clients.
yeah. Yep. Now we've got deals, Fabletics, Honey,
Oh,
it's owned by
nice.
PayPal, Russell Brunson, ClickFunnels. Yeah.
Just casually mentioning all huge brands. Even on your website, it's just like Coca-Cola.
It's cool. It's like, yeah. We don't get a ton of big brands. We have like some, but I think it's because we're not like located in a big city. We're out of Utah, and so we probably need to get some sales people in big cities at some point.
Love that I'm helping you with your business right now.
Can you tell me, could you like give me some pointers on that?
You're just reflecting on like, yeah, we should do that. Well, love that I can help you. I'm glad this was beneficial for both of us.
How much do I owe you?
I'll send you an invoice after. No worries. I'm just wondering. So a brand comes to you and they're like, we want to double our revenue, make us go, well, not viral because it doesn't work anymore, but we just want to double our revenue. Now, I'm sure some of those brands, like people just don't know them. So you obviously have to go through like the awareness, the likeness phase, and then like they purchase from you. So with your ads, how do you get them through that customer journey, especially for the brands that people don't really know about?
Yeah, that's kind of the beauty of social ads right now is you can get directly tracked sales and the brand awareness at the same time. And prior to that, it was very difficult. You had to have a lot of money, spend a lot of money on brand awareness, and then hope that your company would take off. But now you can track a lot of that stuff. And so we usually look for if we can get a 2 or 2.5 to 1 return on our ad spend. So if we run, let's say we run 10 grand in Facebook ads, if we can get 20, 25 grand back on that for a brand, there's a high likelihood that that's going to be a scalable way to grow their business. So Transparent Labs is a really good example. They had a bunch of affiliates that were doing blog posts and driving traffic. And because of that, they had a lot of organic search rankings for various keywords. In doing that, they got to do $2 million a year in revenue. But by the time you have 2 partners and you have your cost of goods, it's not a ton of money. It's not a ton of money. It's great money, but it's not huge money. So he came to us and he said, I want to scale paid ads. I want to take control of my destiny. And so we created some really fun video ads. There's one where it's a guy standing in front of 2 giant blenders and it shows the ingredients that go into Transparent Labs pre-workout on one side. And on the other side, it shows all the crap that goes into the mainstream stuff. And at the end, we turn the blenders on and there's all sorts of funny jokes and stuff in there. But it's just this big, giant demonstration to get you to understand. And yeah, within a few months, we were up to spending 150,000 a month on ads. And we were getting anywhere from a $700 to $1.2 million return each month. And that just continued. We did that for years, a few years. And then the founder, they got acquired and they got a great multiple. And now they have started another company called Project Solar. And we've done the same thing with Project Solar. And it's starting to scale like crazy. And looks like we might be 2 for 2, but that's kind of the whole, like the thing, is if you can get ads to scale. And what's so funny is we didn't even do it for Chamber Media until a year and a half ago. We didn't do our own ads. And
I was going to ask you that. I'm like, but how are you doing it for yourself?
Yeah. And we didn't do it because at the time we were only taking projects that were 100 grand over because we were really small. 2 years ago, we were only 15 people full time and we had tons of contractors. So you could say we were like 20 or 30 maybe. But I thought, okay, our stuff's too expensive to sell with ads. So we rolled out a lower priced offering. And I felt like we finally had this layer of leadership at the company that could grow. And sure enough, year and a half later, 110 employees, 3x from running our own ads. So
okay, so let's dive into that, because people listening right now, they have their own agencies. They're like, I want to do this, but I don't have $10,000 a month to do it.
Yeah.
Where do I start?
Yeah. So the way I did it before ads was very LinkedIn heavy. So we got to 2 million a year from networking and word of mouth. So I would try to speak at conferences. I would try and get press features. I would just chase people down and get to know as many people as possible, so that if a need ever came up, they would call us. And that was really hard. It was really exhausting. It was very emotionally draining because you're just chasing people around and you never know when a deal is going to come through. And I mean, the Nordic Trek deal just came from me giving a guy some free advice here and there over a couple of years.
But still, a couple of years.
Couple of years.
Yeah, that's long. It's a long sales cycle.
It's a long time. So I was just grinding, hitting the streets, chasing people around, sneaking into VIP lounges, press features, anything we could do. And then we got from 2 to 3 million a year from LinkedIn. So then I started noticing that every time I'd have like a big LinkedIn post, we would get some leads at some point, and people would mention they saw it on LinkedIn. So then I thought, all right, well, let's go heavy on this. So then I started making all sorts of crazy stuff there. I did like a Uber Eats prank where I like ordered food at the top of a mountain, and the Uber Eats drivers like would hike up to deliver the burrito, and then we'd have dinner together, and I had like a table set up for two. And that like went super viral, and that drove a bunch of leads.
This was on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Okay, so what made you think that Uber Eats date would go viral on LinkedIn?
I don't know.
Like, you just tried something and you were like, yeah.
I don't know. Well, Uber Eats did reach out, and they said, hey, we want to test some LinkedIn influencer stuff. And I'm like, look, I don't really get a lot of reach. So maybe just like, if it drives a lot of sales, give me an affiliate code or something. We'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just went to the drawing board, and I'm like, all right, well, how can I make this go viral, this Uber Eats thing? But it drove a lot of leads for Chamber Media because they're like, dude, this guy just like randomly did this burrito thing. And oh, he runs ads. His company runs ads. And that's my whole thing. I was like, all right, I just need to get as many people to see my profile and just know that Chamber Media makes videos and runs ads. And if that happens, then maybe at some point they'll call us. And so that was really hard too, and it got to the point where we were like 3 mil, and I couldn't figure out how we were going to grow more. And then I was like, oh, how am I going to sustain this? I'm so exhausted. And I was still flying all over the place. And then we ran ads, and then like life just got magical. Like,
okay, well, tell me about these ads. How many times would you make your audience see them per day? Was it just in like your neighborhood, like, or just your city? Tell me like the details about those ads.
So we made a couple ads that were not like crazy high budget. We would film some scenes on film shoots. So that added a little bit to the production value, but it was just a really funny ad, funny script. It was like a sales pitch. It was like if you were like pitching knives in Costco, but it was for like an agency, like make it funny and stuff. It was just exactly what we do for clients, right? Get people to watch, get them to smile, enjoy it, and maybe they'll pay attention for a longer period of time. It was like 4 minutes long, 3 or 4 minutes long. And we made a whole bunch of ads. Some of them worked, some of them didn't. But there was one ad in particular that has now driven over $6 million in sales. One ad. One
Oh,
ad.
can you send me this link after the ad after?
Yes.
Definitely send it to me. I will put it in the show notes so everyone can watch it.
Okay. And we've made a whole bunch of them. Some have worked better than others, but this one has just. And what's funny is that's what we do for our clients, right? A lot of people make ads, but we make like big, funny, super interesting ads that are expensive. And it's just like goes to show, if it works for clients, maybe it'll work for us, right?
What?
And it worked. It worked. Finally,
Okay.
we weren't the doctor who smoked anymore. And we just this week released the biggest one we've ever made for ourselves. And it's crushing it already. It's crushing it.
Okay,
So
send me that one too.
Takeaway for the audience is you have to make some ads for yourself. You're going to have to make a lot of them because not all of them are going to work. But if you find one, that golden scalable ad, it can really make a big difference. And we started out, our first month, we spent $6,000 on ads. So, there are some businesses that can afford to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing is the first month with $6,000, our leads were like over $500-$600, which is not sustainable at all. But we knew, because we've done this enough times, you just have to keep going. You just have to keep going deeper into the tunnel, into the cave, hoping you're going to come out the other side. So the next month we spent $10,000, and then our lead costs came way down. Still wasn't quite sustainable, but then we saw directional improvement. And then by the end of month 3, we were down to a very good cost per lead. The deals were closing, built a sales team.
So,
boom.
From what I'm hearing from this, is really like trial and error almost. And keep trying it, be patient, because you're not going to find something, like you might, but you're not going to find something that works immediately. So for people who have a smaller budget, let's say $1,000, I know that there are all kinds of different like ad objection, all kinds of different kinds of ads that you can have on Facebook. Which one did you use at first? Did you try different ones like video views, or what are the other ones, like the forms, like fill out this form? Do you remember which ones you used so that people listening can really dive into Facebook and just try them?
Yeah. So there are 7. So let's get scientific with it.
Okay.
So ours is a spokesperson video, and we have found that spokesperson videos, when they work, they are the most scalable by far.
Can you describe what that is? Is that like when they're talking to you and guiding you through everything?
Yeah. So it's a spokesperson video. Sometimes we'll call it an anchor video. Some people call it a hero video. But the best reference is it's a Dollar Shave Club video. So the reason spokesperson videos works is it's a salesperson that's pitching you. And that's the oldest way of selling things. Mm-hmm. In 3000 BC Egypt, someone was in a market pitching, I don't know, what were they pitching? Dates?
Yeah, exactly.
And there were 3 guys all in a line, and you were going to buy dates from the guy you liked the most because they all had the same price. So it's just the oldest selling method, because it's like, okay, do I trust this human being? Do I like them? Do I want to do business with them? And that's the way that works. And then once that happens, it also turns into how long can I keep this person's attention? If I can keep their attention for 10 seconds, I might have a shot. But if I can keep their attention for a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, then even if they don't buy, they'll definitely remember. And then you get your brand awareness. So spokesperson anchor videos are the best for like driving long-term brand awareness. And I think that they're the best for B2B for that reason. B2B is high ticket. It's very complicated. It's very complex. It's very trust oriented. And a lot of B2B companies struggle to get ads to convert for that reason. We've had a few of our own bomb, and it was always mostly because the The client just couldn't wade through the fire. They couldn't make it through that 2 or 3 months without saying, it's not working. But it's one of those things where you have to go through it and find out if it's going to work or not. Because if it does, you could be a Transplant Labs, you could be a Chamber Media, you could be a Mr. Cool. Mr. Cool was ROI negative the first 2 months. And now we're spending like, a lot per month. And they're bringing in a lot. So we did this exercise, Laura. We got really curious of why is some of the stuff we're doing working? Some of the stuff doesn't work as well. What if we could have a quantitative, legitimate, scientific approach to this? So we went and we took all of our ads and we put them in a database and we called it the brain. And we hired machine learning engineers to mine and log all of that data. And we had virtual assistants go through every single ad and tag it based on what kind of ad it is. Then we went and we got the top, all of the top 1% of all 2,000 Shopify stores ads. And we compared all of it. And what came out the other end was 7 categories of ads that get the most performance. And these are the categories.
Okay.
So spokesperson anchor is 1. 2 is product demo. Go figure.
Mm-hmm.
3 is social proof. Social proof is influencer stuff, blogs.
It's not like the toothpaste commercials where they're like, I'm a dentist.
It kind of is that.
Okay. So
yeah.
Okay, got it.
That's totally a social proof ad.
Social proof.
Oh, this real dentist approves of this toothpaste. Wow.
Oh my God. I tried this toothpaste and it was the absolute best. And I'm a real client.
And I am a real influencer and I am super famous. I got booty pics twice a day and I am so famous. And this is the booty cream I use.
Yeah. And that's why you guys should use it.
Yeah. That's social proof.
Okay, perfect. Now we understand what social proof is.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a great category, by the way, because a lot of it's called UGC, user generated content.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that. What you just did is totally UGC. It's great.
Perfect.
4 is dynamic ads. Those are like computer generated assets. So a lot of drop shippers will do this where they'll take a bunch of random stock footage and they'll just like mash it all together. Or they'll take whatever random product videos and photos they have and they'll just mash it into a collage.
Really?
They work. They're like the most commonly made ad. But they're not generally the highest performing.
Okay, makes sense. Because I'm like, I don't know if I've ever seen an ad like that.
If you've ever seen a janky ad that looks like an editor in China threw a bunch of stock stuff together, that's a dynamic ad.
Okay, got it.
5 is case study. Case study is anything empirical. So, for example, for Transparent Labs, it's like, how do you do a case study for pre-workout? Well, what we did is we pulled all the clinical studies for the ingredients that are in the supplement, and we talked about the benefits of these clinical studies. So now it's like science. It's it's proven. So that's a case study.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of what other case studies.
Like, well, how would you do a case study for Chamber Media?
Well, case study for Chamber Media is we grew these companies by these X amounts.
And that's what your ad would be?
Yes.
Just like a graph, just being like, look at this.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And the spokesperson anchor ad, by the way, usually includes all 7 of these.
Ooh, that's an important fact right there.
Sometimes we call it the everything ad.
Okay.
And our Chamber everything ad has case studies in it.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
6 is lifestyle. So this is just like showing the product being used, everyday life. Oftentimes. Yeah. It's Laura showing a new bag, getting into a Mercedes. It's in slow motion, just had a blowout, just like oh my gosh, if I buy this, I could be like her. Oh my gosh, I have to have this. That's a lifestyle ad.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
And then 7th is unboxing, which is opening a box. And that can be done on the doorstep, kitchen table, stop motion animation. And all of these ads, there's like a dozen different ways to make them.
Okay, hold on. Unboxing. How did you do that in your everything ad? Like results.
Chamber media unboxing is like throwing up the garage door to a production studio. It's like, here it is. This is how it's made. But like for most products, it's literally a box that opens.
Yeah. Like if you have a tangible product, it's literally a box.
Yeah.
But for an agency like you,
show them inside the office. Show them around. Like our new video we just launched, it's us in front of our building and our whole team, and we're like walking.
In slow motion?
Oh, no, dang it. We should have done slow motion.
And
it's a cool drone shot though.
Oh, okay. I was going to say like a bomb goes off behind you guys.
That's probably going to be the next one.
Next time, just let me know and I'll be on your brainstorming session.
Okay. I'll call you.
Yeah, please. Okay, so you have these 7 ways of doing ads. Are all these ads only on Facebook or can you put them everywhere?
You can use these ads anywhere. And these ads generally convert across multiple platforms. Pinterest is more UGC social proof oriented. Typically, it's a little more raw. The higher production stuff doesn't usually work as well on Pinterest. But these all generally work pretty well on YouTube. And it's just a matter of testing which ones work for which industry. But we've got so much data. Like we know what the top 2 performing ads are by industry, which is really cool.
For your clients?
Yeah, I'll give you an example.
Okay, give me an example.
Men's clothing, top performing ad is a spokesperson anchor. 2nd is an unboxing. Women's clothing, first highest converting is lifestyle, and 2nd is case study. So what that tells you is men want to relate to somebody that they trust, and then they want to just see the product. It's almost like men are very visual or something. I don't know. Something like that.
Okay.
Never heard that before. But then women want the lifestyle, and they want someone that is doing or living what they want to be doing or living, and is like aspirational what they want their life. It's very like, what could my life look like with this thing? It's almost like, what could my life look like with this guy?
Yeah.
Maybe. And the guy is only focused on visual and it just doesn't match up sometimes.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Yeah, it's like maybe that happens sometimes. And then the 2nd is case study. So what that means is that women want proof. They want some type of empirical evidence that this thing is good. So it's just interesting. You look at these different categories and you just see that like different ads work in different categories differently.
I also like that you're talking about the type of video as opposed to what platform. Like you're really focused on how you're getting the message across as opposed to what platform you're using to deliver it. Because if you get the messaging right, you're solid. You can scale. You can use these ads to scale.
That's like such a good way to put it. Is it's a messaging thing. Yeah. You're like, what is the weird golden bullet thing? And once you find that one thing, then you got to find a 2nd and 3rd thing. So for me, when I was walking around all these conferences and chasing people around, and they're like, so what do you, literally, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I make ads. I run ads. Boom. They're gone.
Yeah.
But then I noticed when we've tripled the revenue of 2 multi-million-dollar companies in the last year.
Then they're like,
all of a sudden, bing,
bing.
That was it.
That was it. That was your messaging. It was the proof.
Yep. And within the first 10, 15 seconds of that ad that changed everything for us, it has that message. So that is the big takeaway, is once you find that like golden message, you can scale it. Because if you get one person, if you spend $1 to get someone to spend $3, then you could do it 1,000,000 times, you know?
I think that's a great way to end our conversation. Like, I have a whole set of questions here. We might have to do this again.
Part 2.
Part 2.
I'm good.
Because I don't think I asked any of my questions on my list. But I loved our conversation. And I think it was super valuable for our listeners to really hear like the value of this inbound marketing strategy, ads, and that you shouldn't be focused on the platform, but focus on the messaging. And that's the biggest takeaway that we can have today. So thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for having me. Coming down, I'm the crazy.